What is up, everyone? Welcome to another weekly news video. We only have a few things to talk through today, so just want to jump straight into them. The first is going to be around shill bidding. I've seen a lot of conversation in the last few days on social media, and if you haven't seen, my last video regarding the PWCC shill bidding and how easy it is to actually do, and then also some tips and tricks around how to spot shill bidding on eBay, I suggest you check out the video from yesterday, and then also one from this time a week ago, because there's a lot of information in there on, number one, how to expect shill bidding on PWCC's platform, and then number two, and more importantly, the same sort of thing for eBay, but on eBay, you can actually spot it. Now, I want to give a quick update because in this video, that Steph Curry that you can see there in the thumbnail, I gave a quick, explanation on why I thought it was shill bid. There was somebody here in Australia who saw that video, decided to sort of investigate some other auctions from that seller. They called eBay Australia. eBay Australia looked into it with them while they were on the phone and confirmed that it looks as though there's around 10 separate accounts that seller was using on eBay to try and shill bid their own auctions. They're going to look into it for IP assessment and things like that, but it looks like that seller might be, getting kicked off eBay's platform sooner rather than later. Now, a lot of people will often see, shill bidding on eBay or hear conversations about eBay and say, well, they're not going to do anything. As I've explained before, the eBay chat function, if you can get in touch with an actual person that's onshore as opposed to somebody that is offshore, and you keep pressuring the point to try and talk to somebody that is a bit more senior. And the reason why I make the onshore-offshore distinction is because typically it's lower level staff that are working offshore, and you want to try and get in touch with somebody that is based in America or based in Australia, as an example, just to get in touch with the right people, because they're the ones that can actually expedite, some of these requests that you're raising, right? Raise it with the right people instead of trying to just squash it and move on. That's typically how it operates because they're more senior in terms of responsibilities and things like that. So that's how you can sort of get this stuff pushed ahead. So in this instance, I'm very confident that eBay Australia will follow through on it as they have in the past when I've reported shill bidding, but I just thought I'd give you that quick update. Now, speaking of eBay, funnily enough, a lot of you have reached out asking for my thoughts on their changes to their breaking policy. Now, this one is pretty interesting. I'll definitely talk to it more in another video because I think it needs its own video, primarily because some of the things I want to talk to are quite technical, and, I'll leverage some of my external auditor knowledge because I think it's quite important for this topic. But if you haven't seen this at all, essentially eBay came out and made some changes in order to now sell break spots on their platform. You have to be a pre-approved breaker, and you have to essentially break, I think, through their platform as well. Now, eBay announced the shopping live functionality, I think it was 12 months ago, maybe a little bit earlier than that, where you can now start selling things live, right, through streams similar to Whatnot. And this one's pretty interesting because they, number one, didn't appear to give every breaker an opportunity to be part of this platform. It looks as though some breakers were caught or left in the dark, I should say, and are now sort of screwed over because they can't sell their spots on eBay anymore. Now, Firehand Cards has come out and explained that and basically given a few examples, so please check out some of his tweets on Twitter because it's, pretty interesting. One thing that I thought, again, was very much on the money was some of the things that Sports Card Dad and Sports Card Radio flagged about how, this is clearly coming from eBay's legal counsel in order to best protect them, right? eBay have primarily come out and done this because we know, as we've spoken on this channel many times, breaking tends to attract a lot of scammers, okay? And in particular, breakers trying to rip off their customers. And as we've seen with Whatnot, that can get pretty messy. And eBay obviously want to avoid that, so they're going to do this due diligence process in order to pick and choose who they actually want to sell on their platform in order to mitigate that risk as much as possible. It's things that I've called for probably 2 years now when it comes to breaking, so it's good to see that eBay have actually done that, and that advice is likely coming from their legal counsel. One thing that I don't think has been talked about enough that I'm going to focus in on in this specific video when I do release it is that I think this is also primarily driven from the news that Fanatics want to, go listed, right? They want to do an IPO. And the reason being, as some of you might not be aware, when you're a private company that then turns public, especially in America, the standards and policies you need to maintain, right? The reviews you need to do, the expectations that they have on you, and regulators, I should say, when I say they, is tenfold compared to what it is when you're a private company, which basically means when you go public and you can start selling shares, right? You need to uplift your processes to the point where so many more policies and procedures need to come into place. And if Fanatics go, listed, that means Fanatics Live also gets exposed to some of those regulatory requirements as well. And that means what? breaking is going to have a pretty big lens on it, especially when you factor in, the amount of money that fanatics want to spend on that industry. So even though eBay themselves are already listed and some of this regulation probably has to tie to their requirements they've got right now, I think they're preempting the eyes that are about to come if fanatics do go ahead with their IPO this year or even in the next 2 years. Now, from a auditor perspective, from an accountant perspective, I think this is a really good step from eBay because it shows they're looking to try and do the right things. In practice, I'm very curious to see how they're actually going to prevent, some of these scams we're seeing on whatnot. What are they actually going to do to prevent those things? What are they actually going to do to, address those things? That's very much key here. And like I said, I'm curious to see what fanatics are going to do when they do go listed, or if they do go listed, because it's looking like it will very much likely go ahead. Now, I just rambled there like an idiot. But like I said, keep an eye out for that other video. Now, in terms of the last point I want to talk to today, it's another very quick update with regards to this, Lonzo Ball stolen redemption, Jason Tatum, the dual Logo Man rookie cards from Immaculate that we spoke about a number of weeks ago, right? Where it looked like Panini had stolen, this card because this person had put the redemption in within the redemption window. And then whilst that redemption was still open, all of a sudden the card happened to be, sold at a card show, i.e. it was backdoored out of Panini in some capacity. Now, we spoke at the time how, Shine and a few individuals were trying to help this individual try to get a response from Panini because he hadn't heard anything from them from weeks, if I recall. It's since been 2 weeks since that happened, since, those people helped him bring it to Panini's front of mind, and we still have no update. So Panini are very clearly dragging their feet on this one. I think it's, completely unacceptable, and once again speaks to opportunities for these businesses to backdoor your cards out of their business and them basically not wanting to, communicate with you at all. It's incredibly poor form. I think it's completely unacceptable. And, in all honesty, I'm not entirely surprised. So I'll keep you updated on that one. The more information that comes to light, I'll keep, bringing it to you. But right now there's no update, which is, really disappointing. I think Panini HQ might, use the excuse of the break-in for why they haven't got back to this guy. But like, come on, you're talking about, a very expensive card that somehow left your place of your premises, right? You've got a history of who the card was sold to. I'm sure you can work out where that person got it from. And, it's something that should be looked into by the police if it's not already. And I don't think it has, but Panini, you need to pull your bloody finger out because this stuff is not good enough. Now, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Please share your thoughts down on any of the points in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.